This week on One Day Leader, our leaders provide their solutions on addressing the blesser relationship phenomenon. Don't miss out right here on SABC 1 Mzansi for sure. Good evening, sanibonani babukele emakhaya ngiphinde nginamukele ohlelweni labaholi benu bakusasa One Day Leader. Igama lami nginguPearl Wakashongwe. Welcome to One Day Leader, a competitive reality TV show that grooms potential leaders into becoming the leaders of tomorrow. Mzansi, tonight we will be talking about blesser relationships, and our leaders through their debates will be providing solutions on how to protect vulnerable youth, especially women, from the consequences of such relationships. But before that, let's take a look at how you, the viewers, scored our leaders. Here are the results.
This week's viewer scoreboard sees Leader 3, Kuhlekonke, leading the pack for the first time this week with 868 viewer votes, and Leader 2, Philasande, as the last person on the list with 142 votes. Now this means that Leader 3, Kuhlekonke, gets 1 point. Congratulations! Now let's take a look at our series scoreboard. Leading the pack is Leader 4, 6 and 5 with 6 points each. It's truly down to the wire.
Remember, your votes at home do count. Please carry on voting every single week for your favorite leader of the evening. Blesser relationships can be simply defined as a transactional courtship motivated by favors, gifts, or money. Most of these relationships involve a younger woman or blessee and a richer older man, the blesser. Society's response to this trend has varied from condemnation to those who feel these economically driven relationships are harmless and beneficial to all parties involved. What is ignored, Mzansi, about this issue are the societal expectations, pressures, and challenges faced by girls and younger women in our times. This leads me to today's topic, which is how do we educate young women that blessers are not the key to their problems? Remember, at home, you can join the conversation and even share your experiences and opinions by visiting our Facebook page, One Day Leader SA, to share your thoughts on the topic. Also visit our Twitter page at One Day Leader and hashtag One Day Leader 6. Now, leaders, you are all set in position, and I hope you're ready to tackle this issue. Leaders, it's time for us to hear your vision statements. As usual, Leader 1, we start with you.
Thank you, Pearl. South Africa needs a revolution in the quality of her leadership. As a rising leader of South Africa, I am determined to contribute to the creation of a disciplined leadership culture. Let's get to the business of the day-to-day, of leading with discipline and integrity. If we can lead ourselves well, we can lead a nation even better. Hashtag the future is female.
Philasande, you're welcome. Your vision statement, please.
I declare South Africa and Africa at large that strives for economic emancipation through the empowerment of our local economies and its industrialization. It is possible. Hashtag Redeem Africa.
Good evening, Leader 3. Your vision statement.
I am Womandla. I'm urging hope and faith, marching towards the realization of the dreams of African women, striving for a country where young people are no longer bound by the chains of generational poverty and illiteracy, a country that pursues and accomplishes indigenous prestige. And by that, I welcome you to the unchanged generation.
Moving swiftly along, Leader 4.
Thank you very much. I believe in a South Africa where the means of production benefit the poor, where property ownership is not in favor of minority. Indeed, a South Africa where we don't see color, but we see humanity. We are young lions. We are the future. No one and nothing can stop us.
Good evening, Leader 5. It's your turn.
My grandmother tells me of a South Africa where umuntu was umuntu ngabantu, where it was kindness and not political affiliation that ruled the land. It begins and ends with us. Maibuye I Afrika.
And Leader 6, welcome.
I envision a leader that will empower a child from a rural area in a township to lead, give a nation access to the land and quality education for the economy to remain alive. South Africa, we are chancing for change.
Thank you, leaders. Those are very powerful vision statements. Now, South Africa, before you is leadership potential in the making. You have seen them. You have just heard from them. If you are in the private, government or civic sector and are looking for new talent to join your organization, then don't waste time. Email us now at onedayleader@sabc.co.za. Now it's over to our voting system. Yes, you at home, your votes do count in deciding which leaders stay in the competition, especially as we draw closer to the final episodes. Let's take a look at how you can keep any one of these leaders in the running. To vote for Gugulethu, SMS 1 to 32672. To vote for Philasande, SMS Leader 2. For Kuhlekonke, SMS Leader 3. For Bhekisisa, SMS Leader 4. For Sibonisile, SMS Leader 5. And for Zongezile, SMS Leader 6. Now on to our guest judge. She is a highly acclaimed youth activist and, more importantly, a member of the United Nations Population Fund Youth Advisory Panel. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nokhanyo Yolwa. Thank you so much for making the time to be with us. I'm really keen to find out, just in terms of your organization, what are some of the findings that you have discovered around this phenomena of the blesser-blessee relationship?
Thanks for having me, Pal. As United Nations Population Fund, we are a group of young people. The Youth Advisory Panel is a group of young people who are change initiatives in their communities. So in our findings, we find that with 1.8 billion young people, or youth to be specific, 8 million in the East and Southern Africa is girls that are or were or are in a union or by the age of 18, which means that there is no safe and successful transition for them to adulthood. Their rights are deprived, the rights to acquire opportunities, education for their advancement.
Thank you very much. Of course, let's not forget we also have our resident judges. They are Catherine Constantinides, an environmentalist, entrepreneur, social activist and businesswoman, as well as Tebogo Ditshego, an entrepreneur, public relations guru and founder of Read a Book SA. South Africa, let's give them a warm welcome. Now let's find out what task our leaders had to undertake in relation to this topic. Good day, leaders. For your task today, you will meet Jackie Pamotse, a businesswoman and an author. Once upon a time, Jackie lived a lifestyle of luxurious cars, expensive clothes and fancy jewelry, glamorous overseas holidays. She's since turned her back on that life, and she speaks openly against using sex for the wrong reasons. When you meet her today, I want you to uncover the truths about the blesser-blessee culture and relationships. Ask her questions based on her own life experiences. Philasande, you are the leader on this task, and as you know by now, it is your responsibility to make sure that you guide your team to the completion of this task. You will assign duties and responsibilities to your fellow contestants. Leaders, you have 24 hours. 3, 2, 1, slay.
Leaders, how are we?
We are well.
Ingathi ni tense nje. Kwenzakalani?
It's a
Serious topic? Let me hear from the ladies. This is quite a topic that predominantly affects women. Let's talk about perceptions. What is a blessee? What is a blesser, and how can you relate to that as a young person? Not only just woman, but as a young person, how do you relate to that?
I've dealt with this topic for, I think, the past 2 years. Because I was in an institution of higher learning, and we understand that there are different levels to this. It might be from a community level where it's just a young girl who needs to buy sanitary towels, or it might be someone who comes from an advantaged family, but they just want more.
I think one of the most interesting dynamics that came to the fore is also the fact that a woman can be in a position to be a blesser. It's not only a man.
A blessee, it would be something where people are in a relationship in the beginning probably, and then they start receiving gifts, and then there's a matter of power where the other person has more power over the other one. So to me,
Keyword there, relationship, power, money, okay? How do we then use those three premises to put a definition? Because the word blessee, it's a social construct. Something that has been founded based on social terms and experiences. Now, these are stereotypes that have been placed in society, which doesn't make them right or wrong for the mere fact that they're social constructs. And you need to interrogate, why do we call women who prefer to be with an older man, or women who prefer to be with a man who's influential and has power, why do we call them blessees? Or why do we choose to call them them? That's politics of the other. Yeah. We are othering. And this is why sometimes we don't get to the root of some of our social challenges. It's because we other them. Yeah. People that are in poverty are those people. People that are, prefer to be in same-sex relationships are those people. People that are Christians, Islam, Buddhists, those who follow African spirituality and believe in ancestors, they are those kind of people. So you need to also be careful not to fall into a box of othering. Because if you say them or those people, you will fall short of getting the crux and the root beneath the results or behind the results. Apply your values as well. Apply the communication. The how is very important. And but most importantly, I think leaders really allow this task to contribute to your development as an individual. To say the world is really big. Okay, so I look forward to engaging with you and hearing how your task went. Okay, all of the best.
Thank you.
Sure.
Welcome back to One Day Leader, South Africa's #1 show on grooming talent to confront the challenges facing our modern day society by providing solutions through critical thinking and rigorous debates. Today's debate topic is, how do we educate young ladies that blessers are not the key to their problems? Blesser relationships cut through all spheres of society and are quite widespread. In higher income groups, it is used to access status and more affluent lifestyles. In poorer groups, it is intimately related to survival and powerlessness. Irrespective of the setting, women engaging in courtship for material gain expose themselves more to sexually transmitted infections, unintended pregnancies, and unsafe abortions. The long-term consequences of blesser relationships outweigh the short-term benefits. That is what our leaders uncovered in the final part of their task. Let's take a look.
There was a point where I was on the ground with my face pinned down and I felt my right arm sort of dislocating because he had pushed me down so hard, and they were changing scenarios. One would come in front, one would come at the back, one would step on me, one would drag me. So it was a place where I felt complete darkness, yet the lights were on. Four years after my rape, I was introduced to a gentleman. He had a wife, he had 2 kids. My relationship was not a blesser-blessee relationship. It was me genuinely being in love with somebody that I saw as a beautiful gentleman. It was a relationship, and it's by coincidence he had money. He introduced the hockey club concept and lifestyle to me, trying to bring in the spark in the relationship, and that's when I saw that different side of him, where he slept with boys, he slept with other girls, He made out with other men, older men around his age, and it would be a huge orgy of people on top of each other.
I would like us to take it back to the beginning, to Jackie working in Hillbrow and Sentin, seeing this lifestyle afar, like what was going through your mind, yeah, take us back there.
From a very young age, I was a liker of things. My parents wanted me to study geology and I said no. I wanted to study the arts. I was very skinny back then, so I wanted to do modeling as well. I wanted to travel, I wanted to see the world, I wanted to wear nice clothes and sexy bikinis. Yeah. So I just left literally with a plastic bag and a bar of Sunlight soap that I stole from the bathroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is unacceptable. You can't live as a child and leave your home. What do you expect? Because it is a jungle out there. No one cares about you.
My first job was at the Macro Polo in Sandton City. I waitressed there and I served a bunch of gamblers. I hated it. I hated it because in my head I was this big superstar. I thought I had failed in life. I thought my life was over.
Our topic is sort of surrounded around the whole idea or the phenomenon of blesser and blessee. Where did it start for you specifically, and what was your first interaction with that sort of environment?
I remember one day it was raining, I was walking Kopak Station, and I said to myself, if I just get a rich man, I'll be fine. I'll never walk in the street again.
And you did.
And I did, right? Power of the tongue. It happened.
Yeah. How much older than you was he?
He was 20 years older.
This is what young girls are saying now. I can't deal with guys my age. They're too immature.
Basically, you guys had the boy and girl relationship.
Yes, it was a boy-girl relationship that, babe, do you need something? Are you okay? I'm actually not okay because I need to pay for school fees. And it's like, okay, how much? I said, well, I owe about 15,000 rand. Can you handle that? And he handled it. And he handled it. So instead of me saying, Mr. Price, it would be like, actually, can I teach you how to shop?
It was sort of glamorized in a sense.
Because everything she was chasing, it was money. Where there was money, she was there.
It was just me dating a person that I eventually liked.
Could you kindly explain the power dynamics with the money and the gifts?
The higher the price, the bigger the demand, right? So if it were a bag that costed 50,000 rand, I knew I had to pay for it in one way or another. He buys you something, he brings on a certain demand. Whether it's orgies, whether it's him saying, I want my friends to watch us have sex so that they see how I, as a man, how good I am. There was a point where in the relationship, my mother was in ICU. And I knew I had to come up with 65,000 rand to pay for her medical bills because my father was not paying that anymore. And I knew if I had said no to one of the things that he wanted, he would sort of cut me off for a certain time and my mother's life would be in danger, right? So I would have to do whatever it is he demanded because he knew my home situation.
She was not relying on them to pay for her tuition at college, so why were they relying on her to help pay for her mother's medical bills? And how could they have expected her to come up with such large sums of money without really being concerned about where the money was coming from?
Where do your parents think you're getting that money? Is that a conversation? Or are you just giving it to them and they're accepting it?
No, remember when I left home, I was disowned, so there was no communication, literally. It would be them hearing things about me via the grapevine.
Your book, it brought something to light to most of us, the hockey club, I wanted you to take us there, like how do you end up there?
One afternoon he called me and said, well, I think I'm going to introduce you to a life that you have never seen before, so be prepared. I'll pick you up at 6, wear this, dress this way, take a shower, blah, blah, blah. From Morningside to Bryanston is literally 10 minutes if there's no traffic. So I was like, are we here? And they're like, yeah. And right before me, there's this grand opening, you know, big gate, bodyguards, security. You could see things have gone up a notch in how we socialize now. There's sections where people are having sex. There's sections where people are having oral sex. And there's orgies. Others are having dinner the other side. Others are just hanging around the pool.
I don't think we should be romanticizing things like that. I think it's a very dangerous thing, especially when we're being watched by little girls.
It's not illegal what they're doing. And they're not drugging you to go there.
I can't necessarily judge her that she doesn't see anything wrong with it.
When I was there, nothing bad happened to me. If I wanted to leave, I could leave at any time.
She had a choice. No one had a rope tied to her. But I think then we have to go into the element of, was she really, did she have an emotional choice or a psychological choice? What is choice when a child grows up thinking that vele you've been raped, your body means nothing to you? What are the risks?
There's a lot of risks. I mean, number one, it's you being drugged because there's so much alcohol and drinks moving around, right? So you'd end up doing things that you probably would not know that you have done.
In refusing to do the things that they want you to do, what punishment do you get?
They just simply cut you off.
Simple.
You go back to being broke.
She created the impression that when you go there, you're free to leave whenever you want to. And according to the research we had done before the interview, that's not entirely true.
You say nothing they're doing is illegal. It's experimental, you know, it's just people living their lives. Why write the book?
I want listeners or readers or people who interact with the book to find a message of solace, to say each and every person's life has a foundation that comes from home, and parents have to be equally as involved in a child's upbringing and towards the end of their maturity. You know, it's a family-orientated book.
I don't think she succeeded in warning people away from that lifestyle.
Be very careful of people who do bad things knowing and then know that they can still walk out and say, I walked away from that life.
Welcome back to One Day Leader. Our question for today is, how do we educate young ladies that blessers are not the key to their problems? It's now time to hear from our judges about how our leaders performed in this week's task. Deboho, we saw our contestants. They all looked engaged. They all seem to have asked the right questions. What are your impressions on their task and how they performed?
I hope you haven't made a conclusion with that preamble. I think that we can look at this task and say, were we able to gain a proper context of what led her to being in the predicament? And secondly, were our leaders able to use the analytical tools in order to understand, how, she was not able to deal with those challenges that she was faced with? And the answer for both of those is yes. They were all able to get the information that we required. And I'll single out Kuhlekonke, who spoke about the fact that they don't have a choice. So if you are raised in a situation where your social economic conditions are quite tragic, then it gives you less choices. So therefore, we will be giving all of you a point.
Thank you very much. Well, before we start with our first debate, let's have a look at the rules of engagement.
These are the rules for the One Day Leader debate. You have 30 seconds to state your vision statement, 60 seconds for the opponent to challenge, and 30 seconds to conclude your debate.
All right, leaders, you're pretty familiar with the rules of engagement by now. So it's time for us to get the first debate underway. And that first debate is going to be between Kuhlekonke, Leader 3, and Leader 5. All right, Kuhlekonke, I'll start with you. Please give us your opening statement.
The backlash against the blesser culture is a clear example of how society is tired of the commodification of the human body, which ultimately results in the decreased quality of life of all individuals. We find a society whereby we clap hands for Mom Joyce, who wakes up at 4 a.m. to go get paid 50 rand to wipe off poo on walls. But we backlash on unomthandazo from blesser cultures who comes back with 300 rand. There is a confusion.
Thank you very much.
There's a clear confusion of how people are failing.
What solutions have you got, and how is Nomthandazo part of the blesser culture?
Okay.
That was very confusing.
No, there's a different case study of Nomthandazo, not the other case study. But just to set context, the failure here is people no longer know how to appropriate their bodies because we are failing to look at the labor forces. Every single relation that we have.
How do you appropriate a body?
Okay.
What does that mean?
The issue that we are having is that people are suffering so much that your body has lost value because you're going to go and get paid 50 rand and you're being abused. There's less quality of life. There are health hazards. So people are saying, well, I can still get abused when I'm being raped or when I'm being a prostitute. And so the problem here is the commodification of the human body. We need to
I'm so confused about what your solution is.
Okay, the solution here is to fix the labor relations. People in this country are poor. People in this country don't have hope that life will get better. And that is why we are saying...
You have remaining 30 seconds.
Blessee and blessership relationships are just a third world generation of prostitution. In Sweden, Norway and Ireland, the person who gets arrested is the person who buys a prostitute and not the person who's being exploited for their poverty. Therefore, we are saying that people are victims and we should fix the labor relations and give people hope that they can still get a job and that life gets better, even if you don't have money right now. Give them skills, develop people in high schools. So you might just change someone's mindset by they confronted with poverty. Let's fix poverty.
All right, Leader 5, it's your 30 seconds now.
We live in a society where men are raised to be givers and women are raised to be takers, where love relationships are largely related to money. We need to change our social construct. We need to raise our girls to grow up to be more self-sufficient, and we need to remove this pressure for men to become money machines in order for them to receive love. For an average black man to marry, he needs at least 80,000. This is one of the slight, subtle ways of saying that in order for you to receive money,
you now have 60 seconds.
The blesser, what I'm saying is that can I just quickly finish? The blesser culture is not new. It's been deeply embedded in our culture. It's how your grandmother will tell you, you need to marry a rich man for you to go. I'm saying it's not so much, it's about
okay, we heard what you said, but now I need to engage you. You're curing the symptoms of the economization of the social
I'm saying we need to start right at the bottom. Our grandmothers at home tell us, marry a rich man. We live in a world where women are not taught to be self-sufficient.
Okay,
we taught that for us to be better, we need somebody to take care of us.
I'm listening. Okay. The problem started with slavery, where people's bodies lost value. The problem starts...
How is that related to the blesser and blessee phenomenon?
Humans are
We're
not
talking about sexual relations where money takes the root cause. If we want to give human
value, we need to start looking at the socio-economic systems that people are confronted with. You might tell your child to love yourself, but in reality, they will be thrown back into poverty. So we need to empower
people. Is putting a price on
Sibonisile, the remaining 30 seconds are yours.
There's a large perception where right now love is so dependent on money, where women are taught that when a man loves you, he will spend money on you. And no one is telling women, get your own money and spend it on yourself. It is society that has created this idea that in order for us to love, in order for us to reach a height, we need a man that will take care of us. We need to uplift our young girls. We need to say, get your own car, get your own house, and look forward to being self-sufficient. That's where it starts.
Thank you very much, leaders, for that exciting first debate. Catherine, I'll come to you for comments, and then Tebogo will give us the verdict. Your thoughts on our first debate this evening?
I think it was a really important way to start out the debate, having two women also debate each other. I would have liked to have seen Leader 3 give us more solutions. You said one thing that for me just broke your discussion, and that was that we have to fix poverty. But this issue of the blesser is not only in poverty-stricken communities, and people of poverty are not the only ones involved in these kinds of relationships. Sibonisile, you made very concrete examples and you brought it back to social construct. You also touched on both sides, the male in the relationship and the female, and the kinds of discussions that are had at home on the kinds of things that we expect from a man and what we expect from a woman. And I think the fundamental part of your discussion was something tangible that we can go tomorrow and start implementing in our homes, and that is changing the role of women and men within our society.
All right. Do you share the same sentiments? I saw you guys deliberating, and what's the verdict?
The verdict is that Sibonisile is going to take this one.
All right. Thank you very much, judges. Congratulations, Leader 5. Now, for you at home, the voting lines are officially open. Ngakho-ke votela umholi omthanda kakhulu ngoku-SMS igama elithi leader and their number to 32672. Your votes, of course, will be revealed at the top of next week's episode. Masibuye Dolo, we get to our next round of debates. You don't want to miss this. One Day Leader, the show that grooms potential leaders to becoming future leaders. Today we're discussing blesser relationships. Our debate topic is, how do we educate young women that blessers are not the key to their problems? It's time for us to get into our second debate, which will be between Leader 6, Zongezile, and Leader 2, Philasande. Zongezile, we'll start with you. Your 30 seconds starts now.
Thank you. South Africa, the blesser culture has become a nightmare to our societies that we can't even say bless you to our sisters anymore when there's needs. But how can we solve this? We need to teach women about self-worth and self-value from a tender age. We need to eradicate poverty and the unemployment rate. Blessers are not winning in countries like Ethiopia and Botswana. Why? Because they have the lowest unemployment rate. The Ethiopian government controls the media. In South Africa, we have a blesser app. In Ethiopia, they don't have a blesser app. Blessers are losing in Ethiopia. The other thing that we should focus on is creating campaigns in high schools and universities.
Thank you very much.
My brother, there's a lady called Amanda Qela who was in poverty. She met a blesser. Economic freedom happened. Now, how is that a problem?
So here's the thing. We teach them self-worth, right? And then after that, we give them a job. They just mentioned that the presenter, listen, I'm answering your question. I'm answering your question. Pearl mentioned that when the show started that 50.1% of the unemployed people are women. And currently South Africa is at 26.5% of the unemployment rate.
Look,
in Ethiopia, listen, I'm answering your question, Pila.
Is economically free because of being a blessee. How is that a problem?
Look, we are addressing the problem because here's the thing. Pearl herself mentioned that women do not have a job. That's the system. That's how the system gets power from. They control women because they don't have any source of finance. So we need to teach them, educate them about the self-worth and self-value, and then we give them a job. So they have a job and they know and understand the values of self-worth in that. Now, listen, now, the Ethiopian government, right, for example, they are controlling...
Tell me about this one. How is this a problem?
I'm giving you an example.
Zongezile, you have the remaining 30 seconds.
South Africa, if I'm urging you right now to join me in spreading a movement against the blesser culture, and I'm calling it Rather Bless Schools. We need to fund it and support it the same way we did with Shout South Africa. We need to fund it and support it the same way we do with 16 Days of Activism. People's lives have been lost through this. Remember Sophie Ledoba's life. Remember Kelabete Sileke's life. Remember Karabo that he himself mentioned. Now, we need to deal with this thing, both with the government, both with self-value, both with campaigns.
The tables are turned. Philasande, your 30 seconds starts now.
Now, in 2013, the Minister of Health announced that 28% of girls in KwaZulu-Natal were infected with HIV due to the blesser culture. Now, I've got a solution to that. Regulate the industry. Now, in New Zealand, transactional sex is legalized and regulated. Now, if you look at the stats in terms of HIV and AIDS, they are very low. Germany, all of those countries, HIV-wise, they are very low. So now, we cannot say this is a problem where in some other countries it is working, where in other countries it is boosting the economy.
Philasande, first of all, I have two questions. Are you saying that this is not a problem? And are you aware that in our country currently, in 2016, Aaron Motsoaledi, he formed an anti-campaign called, the anti-blesser campaign, which they invested 3 billion on. How do you address that? Because currently we have programs that address that.
I've seen that. It's not a problem, really. We all just need to regulate it. Because if
so
we
you say
regulate
blessers are not a problem in our
it's not.
society?
People are economically free because
Wow.
of that.
Wow.
Look at this Jackie. She became economically free because of having a blesser.
So
all we
you're
need
saying,
to do, is just regulate it.
So we should regulate how? We should regulate. You're saying we should encourage it by regulating it. So it's okay
it's
if a lady
problem
from
that
the
we
township
have in
has a blesser.
society already, as you claim it is
I don't
a
think
problem.
South Africa agrees with you.
Look,
I don't think
you say it's a
anybody who's
problem, we have
level-headed
it,
would agree
now
with you.
let's work around it.
No.
Easy as that. It won't end, we just need to control it.
That's the most
That's all I'm
terrible
saying.
solution I've
Let's
ever
just
had to
control
the crisis that we
Thank
have.
you very much. Philasande, the remaining 30 seconds are yours.
You know what's beautiful about the blesser culture is that it has a potential market value of 80 billion. That's how much it could, bring into our economy. Look, if you check stats in New Zealand, that's what's happening. The blesser culture, the blesser industry, that's how much it's contributing to the economy. All we need to do is just regulate it. Make sure that the blessers, they are held accountable. Should they transfer, HIV and AIDS or whatsoever to the blessings? We just need to control
Thank you very much. Now, that was an interesting debate, and I'll come to you, Catherine. Unconventional solutions to an unconventional problem.
Also, I'm not sure if we understood the topic in this debate, I must be honest. It really, we're talking about a culture versus an industry. Blessers are not an industry, so you can't regulate it. This is a culture, and this goes and talks to the kind of societies, the constructs of society, the values that we put in society. So we really debated this long and hard, and we're not sure that you completely understood what the topic of debate was. I also feel it was very poor as a debate.
I don't think you can, firstly, Philasande, call it economic freedom, because it's economic bondage based on exploitation. When you pay somebody who is 2 decades your junior in order for them to do you favors, you're exploiting their situation. And I don't think it is an industry that as a leader you should be condoning. Neither should you be promoting it. So it was a very disappointing statement that you made right there. And Zongezile, you focused more on a lot of rhetoric, speaking. It was a lot of motivational stuff. And we want substance, we want research. You spoke about the Ethiopian solution. However, we wanted you to come up with more substantive solutions and focus on that. And so you gave us a lot of imagery, which was very touching, but unfortunately it wasn't substantive. So as we sit right here, we don't even know if we want to give either of you a point.
Well, thank you very much, Tebogo, for that. Leaders, as you can see, the judges will not go easy on you. It's either you come prepared or you don't come at all. Well, for you at home, you can also join the conversation by visiting our Facebook page, One Day Leader SA, to share your comments on the topic. Also visit our Twitter page at One Day Leader and hashtag One Day Leader 6. It is time for us to get into our final round of debates, and of course that will be between Leader 4, Bhekisisa, and yourself, Gugulethu, Leader 1. Leader 4, we start with you. Your 30 seconds start now.
First of all, let us salute what we are doing right. Society is very right in reprimanding the blesser culture in our societies, in our country. 25.3% of women have opened rape cases in Gauteng alone, so you can imagine what is happening in other provinces. And when we go deeper into finding out who are these people who are doing sorts of things to these women, it is powerful men, it is powerful politicians. So in other words, when society says no to the culture, it is saying we don't need another.
Thank you very much. 60 seconds starts now, leaders.
Bhekisisa, please shed light on how we go about educating young women about the dangers of being in this blesser-blessee culture.
Yes, when I opened this, I said, let us start saying what is right. Our societies our media are reprimanding the culture. Let us start there. And us leaders here, we are saying the society is right in reprimanding the culture, in saying no.
How do you measure the success of reprimanding the culture?
Yes.
Can you give us other tangible solutions that we can present to young women and men about how they can shy away from being in situations?
It is the responsibility of everyone here, including judges. Let's go to our people. Let's open the eyes and minds of our people. How do we move from an era?
Are you saying that you're going to go knock house to house?
No. There's media. There's media. One day leaders, one platform. Why are we doing what we're doing in Ireland?
Television.
Why are we not doing what is happening in New Zealand? Why are we not saying first preference is women in bursaries?
The remaining 30 seconds are yours, Bhekisisa.
In educating our young girls and our young women, us leaders, let's go to our people. Let's open the minds and the eyes and ears of our people. How do we move from an era of looking at women as objects into an era of looking at women as equals? Why are we not doing what is happening in New Zealand? They make women first preference in jobs. They make women first preference when bursaries are awarded. They make women first preference when vacancies are awarded. In doing that, the dignity of Nelson Mandela will be restored of a non-democratic sexist.
Your time is up. All right, Gugulethu, it's your turn. Your 30 seconds starts now.
Ray Macaulay once said, showering women with material gifts in return for sexual favors is not a blessing, it's exploitation. The blessee phenomenon, where young women, or men for that matter, exchange sexual favors with older women or men in return for gifts, calls for the moral introspection of our society. The blessee phenomenon is eroding the moral currency of the world's status quo where relationships are concerned. The rise of people being known and calling themselves self-proclaimed blessers.
Thank you very much.
Here is a young woman here in studio and they worship the culture. How do you say this is not right? Focus on education. How do you do that?
I've got 4 solutions that I would like to propose to you.
But I won't allow you for 4 of them.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, I would like to say it starts at home. When I was a young girl, from the ages 2 to 5, I remember my mother saying very clearly to me, do not allow anybody to touch your body or use your body in any way that you do not appreciate. There's an organization. There is an organization called Engage SA that works to groom young women and children to becoming and fulfilling their full potential in life. Last year, I attended an event called Dawn. They invited women from all over the country. They had amazing businesswomen like Doris Nsibi,
what about the
Samdota,
what about the women in Makapula?
And those women, when I left that event, I felt so motivated. They made the hashtag "You Got This" to trend. They had DJ Zintle in there to speak to us. They made young women believe that
Thank you very much. You have 30 seconds.
Organizations like this make young women believe that indeed they can do it. South Africa needs to look at countries such as Ethiopia, Gabon, Sweden and France, which have a policy of paternity leave. Paternity leave meaning that when a man has just had a baby, they get to be away from work to look after that baby. That instills and inculcates a culture of men taking responsibility for the children. Because why women sometimes tend to be blessees is because the father's not present at home. So if you change this from a policy level, giving South African men an opportunity to raise their children, you will combat the blessee culture.
Thank you very much, leaders. That was our final round of debates. I can see the judges are busy deliberating. I'll go to our guest judge for this one. I'm really looking forward to hearing your take on that final debate.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Young women need not to be spoken to, but given an opportunity, means of them to express what they're facing, the challenges. Blessings are not blessing. If you take out something from someone, it's not a blessing. That's sexual exploitation of young women, their vulnerability or whatever the state that is.
Tebogo, your verdict on that final debate, please.
The winner is Bhekisisa. Give him a round of applause. I think, Google, you had some very good points. But you need to learn how to be succinct with your points. There's easier ways to explain it, and then you can get more information in. Bhekisisa, you were like a train. You took way too long to get to the solutions, but at the end of the day, you made a comeback. You know, when you spoke about putting the needs of women first, so that you can sort out their socio-economic conditions, and therefore not make them vulnerable, to being exploited. So you just made it. So you guys need to up your game next week because it's going to get hot.
All right, thank you very much. A round of applause, please, for all our leaders. And that was our final debate. Mzansi, remember that you at home can vote for your favorite leader. Ngokesa igama elithi leader number yabo to this number 32672. It's time for us to take a quick break. Stay with us. Welcome back to One Day Leader. We're about to hear what the judges have to say about their overall impressions of our leaders' contributions in their debates this evening. Your overall impressions and your parting words for our leaders.
What I was expecting, Pearl, from the leaders is that they would have researched the fact that we are living in a patriarchal society. So I didn't hear any of them speaking about what is the impact of a patriarchal society in the income earning opportunities for the family that don't have fathers. Over 50% of South Africans' households are not are fatherless. Ne? So 63% of all suicides are in fatherless households. So what is the percentage of households where you have no father and then the child ends up becoming a blessee? And I also think that we need to think about the definition of a blessing. A blessing to me is something that you receive without any expectation of anything in return. So if you're going to give a child a bursary, that's a blessing. If you're going to help the child to buy food, that's a blessing. But if you're giving the child money in return for favors, that is not a blessing, that is exploitation.
Thank you very much to all our judges today. Now, before the ad break, our studio audience also had an opportunity to vote, and I do have the results with me. Who is the audience's favorite for this week? Congratulations, Leader 4. You are the audience's favorite for this week. Once again, Bhekisisa, well done to you. Now let's have a look at the scoreboard as it stands.
Leading the pack by end of this episode is Leader 4, Bhekisisa, with 9 points, followed closely by Leader 5, Sibonisile, with 8 points. It's certainly tight as we get closer to elimination rounds.
Well, to the viewers at home, remember we'll be showing your voting results at the top of next week's show. Voting closes at 1 p.m. this coming Monday. Next week, you will get to see our final overall scoreboard. Well, thank you to everyone who joined us today, our candidates, our judges, our studio audience, and of course you at home for watching tonight's episode. Nokanyo, a big thank you to you for taking the time out of your life to come share your insights with us here on One Day Leader. We greatly appreciate it. And of course to you, Catherine Enteboho, as usual, you were absolutely brilliant. Join us again next week for another exciting episode of One Day Leader. I'll leave you with these words from Oprah Winfrey. Forget about the fast lane. If you really want to fly, just harness your power to your passion. From myself, Philasande Jama, and the rest of the One Day Leader team. Lishonile nini bagalazidze.